Hello wrestling fans, the Wrestling Wizard here and welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to talk about one man in particular, the man of the moment seemingly in WWE, the future WWE Champion. Fingers crossed both sides and toes crossed that this happens. Bobby Lashley, is he going to be the man? Is he going to be the next champion? I really hope so. And at the ripe old age of 44, surely it's got to be his time. It's been 16 years now since he made his debut on September the 23rd on SmackDown in 2005. From that moment, he looked like a monster, but he wasn't booked the right way. There were periods where it looked like they were going to pull the trigger on him. If you look back in 2007, he had a strong showing there. However, since that point and the gap in between with TNA, etc., to him coming back in 2018, only up until the last year to year and a half has he really seemingly shown his full potential, and WWE seemed to be taking him seriously. From his debut, again, he looked like a monster, and he went through 2007 where you thought this is probably going to be his time. It didn't quite feel right, in my personal opinion, at that point. I don't think he'd matured enough as a performer. Sure, he looked the part, but I think there was a lot of areas he needed to hone. He hadn't quite found his comfort zone, and they hadn't quite found the right character development for him. But to be fair to the guy, he headlined, in my opinion, WrestleMania. Because let's face it, nobody was talking about any other match than the hair versus hair match between Vince McMahon and Donald Trump, where, let's not forget, Donald Trump handpicked Bobby Lashley. And a guy at that young age, at that point, to be in that WrestleMania spot was a big push forward. And he did actually go on to get a title shot. He faced John Cena in 2007 at the Great American Bash on July the 22nd. And guess what? He lost. Of course, it was the era of C Nation, and everybody lost to John Cena, granted. But after that point, he never really recovered, got a legitimate injury, went away for 6 months, and then before you know it, we heard in 2008 that he'd been released from his contract from WWE. And from that period, he went away and, in my opinion, found himself. Some of the work he did in TNA was absolutely phenomenal. He just seemed more agile, he seemed quicker, more powerful. He polished his in-ring performance, and not to say he was an amateur when he started, he wasn't by any means, but he just seemed that little bit slicker. I don't know if a lot of you will agree with that. I just feel like he seemed more of what Bobby Lashley was supposed to be about. You could take him as a force to be reckoned with, and he just looked a little bit more brushed, a little bit more mature as a performer, and that shone through that period. And then, of course, he came back in 2018, and I was buzzing when he came back. I thought, the guy still looks an absolute unit. At that point, he was like 41, mature, but still certainly not too old to have a reign, have a final push. I mean, look at the amazing work Randy Orton's been doing at 40 years old. You can still perform at a high level at that age. And guess what? Guess what came along? The Lana Rusev storyline. And to be honest with you, that was cringy for all parties involved. And do you know what? That really, really hurt Bobby Lashley. No pun intended, by the way, with the Hurt Business. Slight pun intended. But from that point, I thought that was the end. I thought we were going to see him go off again and never hear anything about it in the future. But that didn't happen. The Hurt Business was created, and I got to be honest, one of the few shining lights to come out of 2020, the Hurt Business. I thought they were absolutely amazing through the pandemic period, which I know we're still in, but without there being any live audiences, I thought they were really, really appealing. I thought they're cool, they're slick. They were like the equivalent, I guess, the modern day equivalent of Evolution, but had a little bit more swagger, if you like. Certainly not going to compare them against Evolution because, in my personal opinion, they were the best faction, hands down. But Hurt Business, the first faction for a long while I've actually taken seriously, and they really did look the part. And you look at why that became such a success, you can't contribute everything down to one person. However, the work that MVP has done with those performances, every single one of those wrestlers within that stable were in a stale point in their career, especially Shelton Benjamin. And MVP just took them up another level, and he's made Lashley relevant again. Again, in my opinion, I think he's done such a great job with bringing him up and doing a lot of the talking for him. Bobby Lashley is never really a talker on the microphone. However, now, and especially after this recent Monday Night Raw, people are listening to Bobby Lashley. He doesn't say a lot, but when he does, you tune in and you take what he says on board, and you can see that he really means it, and he means business. And that was the first time on an episode of Monday Night Raw I thought, this is actually now Bobby Lashley's time. They're finally going for this guy. He come out with such an amazing, strong performance, obviously physically and also on the mic as well. Now, yeah, it's not the most groundbreaking performance on the mic, which is why people will draw comparisons to Brock Lesnar, because they look at more of the physicality about the guy. But I just think the guy is a really polished, well-rounded performer in all aspects now, and you can really take him seriously. Now, here's where it gets a little bit tricky. I don't think it'll be as simple as he takes the belt off The Miz on Monday Night Raw, wins the belt, and wins it clean. I can't see that happening. You can't help but feel there's a reason why they left Drew McIntyre away from the picture on this last Monday Night Raw. I think he's going to come in the next week's Raw and ambush both the performers. It's going to be no disqualification, and then that's going to carry on to a triple threat match probably at Fastlane, where either Bobby Lashley or Drew takes the belt. Now, the logical decision, I think, is give Bobby Lashley that moment at Fastlane, give him the belt. After 16 years, they finally give him what he had so much potential to fulfill back in the day. Now, give him that moment. He's unquestionably a WWE Championship material performer. Give him that moment, and then maybe Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania, where I'd happily see the result go either way. You can either push on and make Bobby Lashley strong through the next pay-per-views and then have Drew come in and take the belt, or have Lesnar into the equation and then have a feud between those two. However, I think WWE will go a little bit hot potato with the belt, and Drew McIntyre will win at WrestleMania and get his moment in front of the crowd. Because let's not take anything away from Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre has been amazing, absolutely amazing through the pandemic period. And you can't help but feel for the guy. He didn't get his moment last year when, let's face it, the reaction as a babyface champion to get that title would have been an amazing WWE moment. He didn't get that, and I'd be happy for him to have that moment all over again. I think it gives it more credibility if he then takes the belt off someone like Lashley, who it's not going to damage him, because Drew's been the top WWE champion over this last year or so. So it's not going to hurt either or, and then you can then have a rematch, and then you can maybe throw Brock Lesnar into the equation. I'd love to see a Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley square off. Doesn't even need the title. It's a SummerSlam, so they could set that up. That's the way I see it going. It'd be really interesting to hear your opinions and thoughts on what you think, or whether you even want to see Bobby Lashley as champion, because I know not everyone's going to agree. Not everyone's going to think that it's his time, but I truly believe this is his moment now. I know I sound like I'm kissing Bobby Lashley's ass, but this is making up for some bad bookings in the past, and it'd be criminal if he went his WWE career without being WWE champion. I know he was ECW champion back in 2007, I think it was 2006, but yeah, look, give this man the belt. Be really interesting to see how this plays out. Be great to hear your opinions in the comments sections, and can't wait to create and share more videos with you guys. Just a quick one at the end of this video as well. Why on earth am I called the Wrestling Wizard? And why on earth have I just sprung out of nowhere? I'm a wrestling nerd, an absolute wrestling geek and fanatic. I'm in my 30s. I probably should have grown out of wrestling. However, 20 years plus seeing the product from its glory days through some lows, highs and lows along the way to the current point. And I just wanted to do a YouTube channel for absolute years, and I can't wait to do that. I'm called The Wizard because a lot of my friends and family members say I've got this weird like wizardry sense when it comes to wrestling. Like I seem to predict things that are going to happen and they happen. But I'll leave that up to you. And also along the lines, I will actually do these videos with a wizard hat on if I get to say 10,000 subscribers down the line. That would be a dream of mine. That would be absolutely awesome. And I would happily do that. I've got a side bet with some friends and family members on that. So let's see if we can get there. But the main thing, just sharing and enjoying the content. Because let's face it, WWE, although it has its ups and downs, we can't help but be glued to the product and see what happens next. And I do believe with the current talent on the roster at the moment, it's got potential to go in a more positive direction moving forward. In my opinion, making Bobby Lashley champion would be that move, the right move. Thank you so much for watching. If you could like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel would be even better, and turn the bell on for notifications. And we'll see you in the next video.